Okay, today we're going to talk about dividing integers. And the good news with this is we're not going to use many new notes at all. Remember the chart we did with adding where the signs were the same, we add. And if we had to do the sign correction, it was a positive. Well, we're going to use that back half of the chart. The good thing with multiplying, there's no sign corrections. You look at the two numbers and you make a decision off of that chart. But there is one major, big, huge, absolutely never, 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 never do this rule when it comes to dividing integers. Anybody know what it is? Are you guessing?
I'm going to try and guess if I get it right.
No, we don't guess. We either know or we don't know. Okay, the big rule is we cannot divide by 0. We can do $0 divided by 3 people at this table. How much money do they get? 0. So we can divide by a number. But if I put $1 million in this room, took all the people out and divided it equally by the people left in the room, who gets the money?
No one.
The janitor when he cleans up, right? Okay. So when you divide by 0 people, that is a problem that is impossible. So anytime it says divide by 0, the answer is actually a word. It's called undefined. Undefined. Because it will transition into your algebra learning, and it'll talk about the slope of a line. But for now, we're just going to write the word undefined when they write divide by 0. Okay? So never, never, never divide by 0. Use the word undefined. Okay? Important. Okay, so we're going to start out with this chart. You all know where it is in your notes? Positive times or divided by a positive is a positive. Negative times or divided by a negative is a
Negative.
positive times or divided by a negative.
Subtract.
Subtract. Negative times or divided by a positive. Subtract. Okay. So when we use this chart that we already have in our notes, you might want it on this page again. This is like the signs that are in the problem. Okay? This is the signs after the equal sign that you're going to put on the answer. You know when we added, we used the bigger base to determine the sign in the answer? Now the signs in the problem are going to determine the sign in the answer. Okay, so we're going to practice a little. You ready for an example? This is going to be an easy one. Step 1, write the problem. Step 2, this is optional. Substitute. Variables. Substitute 4 variables. We don't have variables in this problem, right? So we're going to skip that step. Step 3. Ignore the signs. And do the math. Okay, well that says 3 times 6 if I ignore the signs, right Matthew? What is 3 times 6?
18.
18. So I'm going to write this 18 down here because I did the math. Step number 4 is check the chart for the sign in your answer. Check the chart or the sign in your answer. Okay, so I have a positive times a negative. So what sign goes in my answer, Brian?
Negative.
Good. Pretty easy, right? Jackson? You see what little bitty amount of work is there?
Yeah.
I wrote the problem, I have an answer, and I have a sign on it. Okay?
So we're there.
Please work down, not sideways, just to get a habit going for algebra. Is it a real question?
Yes.
Am I done with lecture?
No.
Let me finish and see if we cover it, okay? And then, so jot it down on your note paper.
Yeah, it's just I was having a
Jot
question
it
for that.
down.
Oh, I jotted it down.
Okay, let me finish. Example 2, a little harder. Oh, let's try this one. We got timesing and adding integers in the same problem. Well, we already know how to add them, right? So let's see if we can do this together. So the new part is timesing. So we're going to ignore the signs for now. We're going to do 2 times 3. What do we got? 6. Okay, between these signs, what sign goes on my 6?
3.
Check the chart. Positive times a negative.
Negative.
Negative. Then I got to bring down the rest, right? Positive plus negative 4. What do we see when we get here, Brian?
We do sign correction.
That's a sign correction. Excuse me. That's a sign correction. So what sign is going to go down here, Brian?
Negative.
Negative. So I really have a negative 6 and a negative 4. Signs are the same, so I'm going to do what? Add. 6 and 4 is what?
10.
Which sign goes in my answer?
Negative.
Okay. So that's a combination of everything we've done for the last week. Yeah.
So it's gotta be okay.
I'm not checking that. I gotta get through that. Okay. So that's a pretty hard one. We're gonna do an algebra one because you need to see it with variables because that's step 2. And then we'll do another one, whatever you want to do. You can make up the example. Okay? So we wrote the problem, step number 1. Step number 2 says substitute. I got to write the negative 2 down. Then what operation are we doing when it's a smush? Multiplying. So I have to put a what, everybody? A times dot. Not an X, right? Because we're working with variables.
It's Langford.
Let me get through this. Okay, C is negative 2. Copy the divide symbol. B is 4. So we're going to go left to right because that's what order of operations says, right? 2 times 2 is? Negative times a negative is? Divided by 4? Brian?
0. I mean, no, wait. A 1.
A 1. Not divide, not subtract, right?
Yeah.
So is it going to be a positive 1 or a negative 1?
Positive.
Positive. Okay, you guys see how the algebra works.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now let's talk about questions. Brian, do you still have a question on the chart?
Um,
What is it?
So, why? So, times and dividing, it is subtract negative, or is it supposed to be positive?
Times and divide, that just
On the
means it
2.
works for both symbols.
Yeah, but I'm talking about like if it's they're the same.
If signs are the same, the answer, oh, you told me I wrote the chart wrong. Thank you. Okay, yes, I did have an error in my writing. So signs are the same, it's positive. So are we better now?
Yeah.
Thank you.
I'm kind of confused on how you got the positive for the 1.
Okay, because this one didn't have one printed with it, so it's always a positive, right? we got a positive divided by a positive. We use the chart. Good question. How we doing?
How would you know whether to multiply?
If it's a smush, you multiply. If they give you the times dot, you multiply. Or if they do -2 parentheses C, parentheses means multiply. Right?
Yeah.
We use all those methods to make multiply.
Pretty simple.
Would you just get rid of the C?
Yes, that's why we substituted. Step number 2, we substituted from the directions.
And what would you turn it into?
Whatever the directions told us.
Okay.
Okay? Are we good?
Mm-hmm.